All right, welcome everyone. My name is Claudia Summers, and I am here as your moderator today for the National Instructors Forum. If this is your first time to the National Instructors Forum, I just want to give you a little bit of information. The forum was created as a way for child passenger safety technicians and instructors to be able to expand their knowledge and reach on topics related to child passenger safety and to help each other foster program longevity. We would like to stress to you, if you are attempting to participate in this forum while operating a motor vehicle, we ask that you disconnect immediately from the webinar and plan to view it at a later time when it is safe to do so. The instructor forum presentations are recorded and are available within the Child Passenger Safety Learning Portal at carseateducation.org. This presentation will be available to you within the portal in about 2 to 3 business days. We appreciate you understanding of that safety message. Thank you so much. All right, so let's get started. So today we're joined by 3 wonderful speakers. We have Tammy Franks with the National Safety Council. She is a senior program manager and also the National Child Passenger Safety Board curriculum representative. Jennifer Bogue, who is a National Safety Council program manager. She also runs the National Digital Car Seat Check Form field training. And then also joining us today is Adele Polson. She is with Westat, who is part of the backside of the National Digital Car Seat Check Form, and she is a senior research associate for Westat. With that, we'll go ahead and get started, but I'm going to hand it to Tammy really quickly because she has some things to say and to present to you today. All right, Tammy.
Thank you so much. So it's my pleasure to kick off this webinar today, and thank you for all of you who have taken time to join us. We really appreciate you being here. So as you know, as instructors, one of the primary roles of child passenger safety technicians is conducting car seat checks for parents and caregivers. And all knowledge and skills that's learned in the child passenger safety technician certification training can be applied to completing a check form used to document the car seat check. So new in the 2024 curriculum, the National Digital Car Seat Check Form will be used throughout the training, as the NDCF, or the National Digital Car Seat Check Form, is also a resource of the National Child Passenger Safety Board. While some organizations may opt to use different car seat check forms, all check forms have similar input fields, and learning how to use the NDCF can be helpful to using the other check forms as well. So here to help guide you and get you started on how to deliver the NDCF information in the 2024 curriculum is Jennifer Bogue, the National Digital Car Seat Check Form Field Training Coordinator. Jennifer, I'll turn it over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Tammy. All right, we are going to go ahead and jump right in. I'm going to get my slides going here. So hopefully you all can see my slides. Thank you all so much for taking the time to be here this afternoon to talk more in depth about the introduction of the National Digital Car Seat Check Form into the 2024 Child Passenger Safety Technician Certification Curriculum. We are so excited that the board, as a resource of the board, is utilizing this resource in the digital check form. So what we're going to do today is talk about some information that you as instructors will need to know to successfully implement the use of the NDCF in the curriculum. So just an overview of what we'll be talking about. We'll talk a little bit about the NDCF and just high-level overview information for those that maybe aren't as familiar with the NDCF. This might be new information to you. We'll be talking about some of those key opportunities to utilize the NDCF in the 2024 curriculum. And then we will also be talking about the new training app that's available. We'll be sharing with you some updates to the NDCF as well as some resources that are available. And when I am done, I will turn it over to Adele, who will be talking about the NDCF data mapping. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So for those of you who are not familiar with the NDCF, it is a free resource and it's available to all certified child passenger safety technicians. It is a program managed by the National Safety Council. We receive support through NHTSA, and we work closely with our friends at Westat, Adele and her team, that do an amazing job making all of us look really, really smart with all of the data that's being fed into the system and then being presented back to users in the form of those data dashboards and the table tools. We work closely with our friends at Tennessee Tech University iCube. They are responsible for all of the updates to the NDCF. They store the information all on a HIPAA compliant server, and they also do a lot of our customer service and helping users with account issues that might come up. We also track all of the feedback that we receive through the NDCF to help grow the program and make changes to the program, because we know that the NDCF is a resource that's built by technicians for technicians. And so as the field is changing, we want to make sure that we're aligning with the information that's out there in the field that you need to be recording and documenting on the form. We work closely with our friends at the National Child Passenger Safety Board. As you heard Tammy say, the NDCF is a resource of the board, and we are so grateful for their support in helping us to make sure that we are aligning with the information that's in the curriculum, with trends that are happening out in the field. So again, we can make sure that all of the information that you need to be collecting on your form, so that you have a record of that car seat inspection. You have all the information that you need. We also partner with our friends at AAA Mountain West Group. So as we talk about the introduction of the NDCF into the curriculum, it provides us as instructors with an opportunity to focus on in educating our students on how to accurately complete a car seat check form. As you know, with the current curriculum, while it's absolutely phenomenal and we love the information that's in there, there isn't a lot of time spent on documenting a car seat inspection. Generally, we get kind of towards the end of the curriculum, and now we're ready to do our car seat check event, and we're gearing up for that Skills 4, and we introduce the form quickly and we send them on their way. But we really want to make sure that when technicians are out in the field, that they have a thorough understanding of how to answer the questions on a form, regardless of the form that you're using out in the field. We want to make sure that we're doing it in a consistent manner, that it's comprehensive, and that the information that's collected is accurate. So this, by introducing the NDCF into the curriculum, this provides you as an instructor with an opportunity to spend more time looking at the different questions on a form and how to accurately answer those questions so that you have consistent and accurate data. I won't spend a lot of time talking about the data that's collected through the NDCF, but just know that anyone who has created an account with an NDCF will have access to their data, as long as your account is current, that you have not that you've kept your certification card updated in your profile. You'll have access to all of your car seat inspection data. Program managers, so if you as an instructor are a program manager and you're collecting that car seat inspection data through your program, and you want to make sure to input the information from your check event, if you take the information from the form and enter it into your account as a program manager, you're going to have access to all of that data. State coordinators, same thing. You're going to have access to all of that data. Our friends at Indian Health Service has access to all of the data in the 12 respective IHS areas. And then our friends with the vehicle and car seat manufacturers have access to all of the data about their respective products. And so we have many manufacturers that are using this data and looking at it on a monthly basis, and looking at it internally and identifying opportunities where there could be potential changes in the design of their equipment, maybe changes in the owner's manual, user guides, tutorial videos, those types of things. And we're already starting to see those changes, which is very exciting. So with the NDCF, you have 3 different options. We have our web-based platform, which can be found at carseatcheckform.org. We have the corresponding paper form. We'll be releasing version 9.0, which we'll talk a little bit more about towards the end of the presentation. But currently we're on version 8.0. We'll be launching 9.0 at the end of the month. And then we also have 3 corresponding apps for Apple, Android, and Amazon Kindles. If you are a part of a Safe Kids program, a Safe Kids Coalition, and you participate in Safe Kids Buckle Up, you can use the NDCF for your events. And you can take that information from the form and enter that into your event and inspection station evaluations. If you have any questions about how to integrate the use of the NDCF into your Safe Kids Buckle Up program, feel free to reach out to Cass Herring. She is amazing. She can help answer any questions that you might have about the integration of the NDCF with your Safe Kids Coalition. So now let's talk a little bit about the integration of the NDCF into the 2024 Child Passenger Safety Certification Training. Again, we talked about it being a resource of the board, and the board spent a lot of time looking at ways to integrate the NDCF in a way that makes sense. So instead of just presenting the student with a form and going over it all at once, if you haven't had a chance to look at the instructor prep guide or the instructor guide, you should know that it's been chunked out into different sections that are called check form checks. So as you move through the curriculum, you're going to see this icon that says check form check, and that's going to indicate that there is an activity that the students can participate in using the NDCF through the curriculum. So if you haven't had a chance to look at your, hold on just a minute, here we go. If you haven't had a chance to look at your instructor prep guide, please make sure that you take the time to read that. There is a lot of valuable information in the instructor prep guide on how to use the NDCF in the curriculum, so that the knowledge and the skills needed to complete the sections of the check form will be covered in the training. And so during the training, when you use those check form checks, you'll want to make sure that the students are engaging in those activities so that they can utilize that information and check their knowledge and skills, applying that to completing a car seat check form. There is also detailed information in the instructor guide, so you'll want to make sure that you review the instructor guide. The NDCF is introduced in Module 2, and then there are several check form check activities in Modules 7 and 9. So make sure that you review that information so that you become familiar with those different activities that will be coming to you. And I'll talk a little bit more about each of those activities in Modules 2 and then 7 and 9 as well. The NDCF has also been introduced into the appendix. And then you'll notice here on the left-hand side where we have a word watch, where we introduce the NDCF, the National Digital Car Seat Check Form. So right away at the beginning of the curriculum, they're going to be introduced to this terminology, and then it's going to follow them through the curriculum. So we want to make sure that we're calling attention to the word watch, as well as information that's found in the appendix. So when we look at the first activity that is available in the curriculum, we start in Module 2, and this provides a high-level overview to help the students become familiar with the NDCF. So the students are going to review the NDCF form. They'll be given a hard copy paper form, and they'll be asked to really think about what they're seeing on the form and what activities a CPS technician might be doing during a car seat check. So the fact that a check form is being introduced at the beginning of the curriculum really sets the stage again for that good data collection and understanding the importance of making sure that we're using a check form. So this activity is really a high-level overview of the form. And again, it's just designed to help familiarize them with activities and terms during the seat check. Again, there will be additional activities in modules 7, 9, and then modules 12. So what do you need to know about the introduction of the NDCF into the curriculum? So the NDCF must be used for all of the check form checks. So we want to make sure that everyone, all of the students have either a hard paper copy of the NDCF, or they can use the training app, which we'll talk about here in just a minute. So anything that has a check form check icon next to it, the students must use the NDCF to complete that activity. And then when we look at the paper form, again, when you start with the new curriculum in February, you want to make sure that you are using version 9.0. You can find updated copies of, as the forms are updated, you will see copies of those posted at the cpsboard.org/instructor resources. It will also be found at carseatcheckform.org and cpsboard.org/NDCF. So you have a lot of different ways to find that current copy. Now, right now we're using version 8.0, but once the curriculum is launched in early February, in just a couple of weeks, you'll be using version 9.0. So again, you're going to want to make sure that you have hard copies of the paper form available to the students. As I stated before, we do also have a new app that's available. So the students can choose, and as an instructor, you can choose whether you want the students to use the paper form or the app. The app is not required in the curriculum, but it is another option. It is free to download and it mirrors the current NDCF app. You're going to look for that yellow icon with the blue car seat, and you're going to search for car seat or for NDCF training. And that's all spelled out in the instructor prep guide as well. So you're going to, you can either use the app during the course, or you can use the paper form. Students can use their own devices. If you have extra devices available that you want to provide, that's totally up to you, but just know it is an option to use the app as well. So the training app is going to mirror the app that we currently have in use. Now, the biggest difference with the training app is that students don't need to have an account to use the training app. So they can just download it and start playing around with the different features in the app. The other thing that you should know is that the data that's entered into the training app will not be saved. And you'll see here, it says right at the top, NDCF training app. All of the information that's entered in is going to be deleted. It's not saved anywhere. So it'll be very evident that it is a training app and not the actual NDCF app. So because students are not certified yet as child passenger safety technicians, they will not be able to create an NDCF account. And so to be able to familiarize themselves with the use of the app, our friends at Tennessee Tech have developed this training app. So we're very excited about that. So the use of the training app out in the field and also during the course, and then also the paper form is going to move the student through 5 different phases of a car seat check. So we start with that initial child on arrival information, and then the car seat on arrival information is split up between steps 2 and 3, because there's a lot of information that's collected in the child on arrival, car seat on arrival information. And then number 4 would be on departure, and then our caregiver sign off would be step number 5. Now, our little pro tip for any use of the app out in the field, whether it's the training app or it's the actual NDCF app, we encourage users to put their device in airplane mode. You can collect all of your car seat inspection data. You can enter all of that information in airplane mode. So you don't have to worry about it draining the battery on your device if you place it in airplane mode as you're using the app during those check form checks. So additionally, in Module 2, there are open-ended questions to begin having the student kind of think about that process for collecting a car seat inspection data. So it will document, they have the opportunity to document the overall process for compiling the check form information and then identifying some of that new terminology that they're going to be learning about throughout the curriculum. So it's another real hands-on opportunity for them to take kind of a deeper dive into the form. So this is an example of a check form check. So we see that logo, and this is a snippet of the slides in the curriculum, and it will have an activity added to it, attached to it. So the technician would use their technician guide, and they would follow along and answer the question. So any of those activities with the check form check, you want to make sure that you're using the NDCF. So we have starting with our caregiver information, and then we move all the way through in incremental steps until we get to our findings on departure information. So it's going to walk them through incrementally on how to collect that car seat inspection data. So now when we get to module 12, and this is very exciting. This is all very exciting. This one, when I learned about this just recently, this is absolutely fantastic. This provides the students with an opportunity to document a seat check while watching a car seat inspection video. And again, they can do that with the paper form, or they can do it with the training app. So they're going to watch this 20-minute video and they're going to observe and document a car seat inspection. So before they even get out into the parking lot to assist those caregivers during that Skills 4, they're going to have that opportunity to walk through a car seat check. So that is very exciting. And also as an instructor, you have those opportunities to stop and kind of talk about what they're seeing in that car seat inspection and draw attention to certain things that you want to make sure that they're noticing. We have created a quick start user guide for you as well as the students. And this is a double-sided resource. It's found, it's available to the technicians in the TG, and it has information about creating an account, the mobile app access, practice options, and then additional resources. So those QR codes will take them to the different resources and how to create an account. So this should be a really beneficial resource for either you as an instructor as well as the technician. So when they're leaving the class, they are ready to create that account with the NDCF and start tracking their car seat inspection data if that's what their program is utilizing. Also in modules 12, again, we talked about the quick start guide. We want to make sure that information is shared to help support the creation of the account and of their NDCF account, and understanding that that account can't be created until after they've successfully completed the technician certification training. We want to make sure that they take the time to review all of the resources as we recommend with any new user, and that they're ready to begin using the NDCF to collect that car seat inspection data. Now, we talked about Skills 4 just briefly. One thing that you should know as an instructor is that the NDCF is optional for Skills 4. So if your organization chooses to use a different check form during Skills 4, that is perfectly acceptable. If you are using a different form, you need to make sure that you're building in time to go over that form and review it so that the students are prepared to use that form before they're at the live check event. So again, the NDCF is optional. If you use a different form for Skills 4, just make sure that you build in plenty of time for them to understand how to use your form to collect that car seat inspection data. If you do use the NDCF at your car seat check event, you want to make sure that you enter in the information from the paper form into your user account. That way, all of your data will be in one location, so it's easy to sort and filter. So if you are sponsoring that training or that car seat check event with another agency or organization, you can easily transfer that data and share that data with that other organization. So take the time to enter in that information. The first few forms that you enter in, it may take you a little bit longer, but as a general rule, it's just taking a couple minutes per form to enter that in. And that doesn't mean that you as an instructor have to do that. Maybe you have another program manager, maybe you have an admin that can help enter in that information. But just make sure that that you get all of your data in one location, take that information from the paper form and enter it into your user account. If you choose to use the NDCF at your check event and you have a specific liability statement that your organization is required to use, you can request a custom PDF and it will have your agency's liability statement on it. So just feel free to ask, send in a request for that, and our friends at Tennessee Tech will get one made for you and send you over a PDF copy of your paper check form. We talked just a little bit about the sharing of the data. We know that a lot of programs co-host, co-sponsor events. We do have a short tutorial video that's available to you under resources on the cpsboard.org website on the NDCF page. And so we have a link to about a 2 or 3 minute video that demonstrates how to share that data. So it's a simple process, but we wanted to make sure that you had that resource as well. As you may or may not know, if you are familiar with the NDCF, you know that we have a question on the form about vehicle recalls. The Check to Protect has been also added to the curriculum as an additional resource to help look for and search for vehicle recalls. We also know that we have the NHTSA.gov/recalls resource in the curriculum as well. And Check to Protect is just another option because it is part of the NDCF check form. The Check to Protect has been added as an additional resource. So let's talk just a little bit about some of the updates that we have coming for the NDCF. Generally, we update in the fall of each year, but with the release of the new curriculum, we held off on the updates to the NDCF. We wanted to make sure that the curriculum was launched, and then we follow with all of our updated resources. So what can you expect? We will be launching the updates to the app, to the online version, as well as the paper versions, and all of our resources in late January. So in just another couple weeks, we'll be releasing all of the updates to the NDCF, which will then be version 9.0. So if you're using 8.0 now, you want to make sure to switch over to 9.0 as of February 1st and get all of those 8.0 forms entered into the system. I don't know if you noticed or not, but we updated our logo. We made a few changes to the logo, which helps to align with the check form checks and the information in the curriculum. We worked very closely with the National Child Passenger Safety Board Data Committee to update the vehicle list, which was not an easy task. And we are so grateful for the time and effort that they put into updating the vehicle list, which will hopefully help to streamline being able to select a vehicle that matches the vehicle that you're working with. So we're very happy to be partnering with them and so grateful for their work. We'll also be updating the car seat model list. We did add a question about the rotating car seat misuse because we know that there's a lot of seats out there that have rotating features. We made updates to the terminology to align with the updates of terminology in the curriculum, and we are making updates to all of the user guides. We have a lot of resources that are available to you. You can find the majority of them at cpsboard.org/NDCF. We have tutorial videos, how-to guides, FAQs. We have the quick start guide. We also provide orientation trainings and small group trainings for your agency. If that's something that you're interested in, you can just reach out to us. We are happy to help. Happy to help support the work that you're doing out in the field. We have four different webinar series available that you can sign up for. You can find those at cpsboard.org/webinars. The first one is Take the NDCF for a Test Drive. And this is our general orientation training just to try to kind of get your feet wet a little bit with all things NDCF. We have Practice Makes Perfect, which is a live walkthrough where you're on your device, we're on our device, and we're going to go step by step on how to work through the check form and really paying attention to those skip patterns and machine logic and making sure that users understand how to answer each question depending upon the circumstances. We next have our Let Your Data Do the Talking, and this is going to be all things data, NDCF related, where we'll talk about some of our trends and patterns that we're seeing with our data, some of the new things that we might be seeing coming out of our data, and really just highlighting what we're seeing nationally as well as statewide data. And then we also will have our NDCF Town Hall experience. And this is just an open Q&A. You can just drop in, ask your questions. We can navigate through resources. We can look at data dashboards. We can look at the form, whatever that topic happens to be as people join. It's just going to kind of just grow. The conversation will just kind of grow organically. And we're happy to be there to help answer any questions that you might have. The National Safety Council has a lot of different resources available to you to help support the work that you're doing out in the field. I know you heard me talk about Check to Protect. We have My Car Does What, the Child Passenger Safety Connection. Hopefully you all are aware of that and the amazing resources that are available to support you as well as caregivers. our Road to Zero, our Drive at Home, which is our team driving program. So if you have any questions about any of these other resources, please don't hesitate to reach out. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Adele Polson from Westat, who is going to share information about all things NDCF data. And this is kind of a condensed version of an amazing project that her and her team have been working on. So Adele, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you very much. And thank you everyone for joining us, all 183 of you. So just a little nervous. So I'm a huge data person. That's my career at Westat, is to work with data. And this is a really exciting and groundbreaking data set. So I could probably spend all afternoon talking to you about it. My family's heard all about it. I love to talk about the NDCF data set. But I've got about 10 minutes. So what I'm going to do is try to hit you with the highlights and leave you with the resources so you can go check it out. But just want to make sure everybody understands just how impactful this data set is. One of the guiding principles for the NDCF program is to make the data readily available to all of our users, technicians, program leads, manufacturers. Ultimately, our long-term goal is to provide a complete picture of what is happening in car seats around the US. And we want to make it possible for all the stakeholders to access and use that data to support their programs and their products. So just a quick overview of the data. We currently have 263,000 car seat checks in the NDCF. So if you are a user, thank you for your contributions. And of course, a round of applause for Jennifer for getting so many people involved in the NDCF. We have seat checks conducted in every state. We have over 15,000 active users with over 3,400 agencies. And this is the part that I geek out on. For each car seat check, we provide for you in our clean data set 219 data elements. So 219 different variables you can look at about that car seat. So our job is to take all of this amazing data, clean it, analyze it, and present it in dashboards and in maps so it's easy for all of you to work with it. Our first step is to clean the data. We do this with any data set we ever get. We take several steps to clean the data, and we get it ready to feed into fancy statistical software packages. It's very important to understand that in the NDCF, we always maintain a copy of that raw data. It is available to you in real time as soon as you hit submit on that form, and it is not altered. We do not touch it. Through the cleaning process, Westat creates a second clean data file that's just enhanced, and we update that monthly. So now we've got all this great clean data. Then we analyze it each month for incorporation into the dashboards. And, you know, as Jennifer mentioned, she's going to be holding these webinars. So once a year, we do get to take a deep dive into the data, and we try to provide some data for Child Passenger Safety Week, and just any other requests we kind of get throughout the year. But could go over lots of analysis. The example I've decided to pick for you today is just to give you an idea of the way that we can use this NDCF data and show you just how robust it is. So next slide. Yeah, we got a request, and somebody just asked us, you know, what are the seating positions most preferred by caregivers? Where are kids getting put in car seats in vehicles? So what we figured out is that the outboard is preferred. You see more installations in those outboard seats, but then we were kind of surprised when we looked, and that back middle seat has the highest misuse. 75% of the NDCF seats installed in that middle seat location have at least one misuse. And this is the part I geek out over. This is the really exciting part. So since this data is so robust, we could then look at exactly what was going on in those seats, what's happening in the back middle seat. And we found that the lower anchors were incorrectly used 70% of the time in that middle seat, compared to only 40% in those outboard seats. And even better, we're like, well, what are parents getting wrong with these low anchor misuse? Well, they're using non-approved lower anchor locations 37% of the time. Suspect it's borrowing from those outboard positions, but compared to outboard, we only see 1%. Right? So we had a question, we're able to give you a pretty complete answer about what's going on. So now once all this analysis is complete, we feed the data into the data dashboards. Next slide, please. Those dashboards follow that same tiered access system that Jennifer mentioned earlier. We have a national level dashboard. Anyone can go see the national level dashboard. If you go to carseatcheckform.org, right in the middle of the homepage, I think someone's maybe unmuted. If we could make sure everybody's muted, please. So you can click and view that national dashboard at any time. Anyone can see it. We also have other dashboards that match each person's level of access. So for a state coordinator, they get all the state checks. Car seat manufacturers get all of their car seats. Vehicle manufacturers get all of the car seat checked in their vehicles. We create over 4,000 customized dashboards each month. So here's a super quick look at the dashboards. So we'll see how good Jennifer and I are at this. All right, so click one. This is our homepage. You can see all of the number of car seat checks by year. Across the top there, you see those years. You can click on those tabs and you can get a breakdown by month. Next, see one more. Oh, here we go. This is our misuse page. The misuse page has a ton of data. I just pulled out one graph for you. You can see, you can look at misuse by state. If you were to click on one of those states, you can also see the overall misuse in that state with the top 3 misuses that we see. You can also look at it by like harness type, vehicle, handle position, recline angle. And then along the left-hand side, you can also filter by year. That was a request from one of our state program leads who said, I want to see how we're improving year to year. And then we also have a page dedicated to car seats. So what's going on with the car seats? How are they arriving installed nationally? Lower anchored is our preferred method of installation. And then also the year the car seat was manufactured. And we also have a page just for our vehicles. Again, I just excerpt this, but we look at vehicle type that we are seeing at car seat checks. Also vehicle compatibility. This one is really exciting for a lot of people. We've heard different things in the field. Looks like the vast majority of our seats are compatible with the vehicles. And finally, we look at the vehicle year. And then we have, no, you're fine, you're fine. I was just pointing out the average age. There we go. And then last, we provide a table tool. When we first started introducing this data, a lot of the users were like, hey, we'd like to play around with some of these variables. Table tool lets you do that. You want to know more about it, you can go to the board's resource pages that Jennifer mentioned. We have a video on it. So then we're always constantly working to fully leverage the data to evolve this tool for all of our users. So we kind of asked ourselves, what can we do? What else can we do with this data? And we decided to explore where we have children that are missing out on car seat checks. Where are our underserved communities? So step one was to determine how many car seat age children we have in the US. What's that target population that we're all trying to reach and help? We use the American Community Service, or ACS, and that provides us with the most accurate accounting of children ages 0 to 9. Then we pulled in other existing data. We gathered up all of the publicly available information on technicians and instructors from cert.savekids.org. We also pulled in all of our NDCF checks. We just looked at 2023 to start. So we took all this data and we threw it at our statistician. They created a ratio of the seat checks to the population of children. For each county, we divided the number of NDCF seat checks by the number of children to kind of create this rating of how well we're covering these kids and serving them. Again, made this publicly available to everybody. Carseatcheckform.org. You can click view the national car seat check coverage map, and you can see exactly what we did. You don't need a login or anything. And we're going to just take a quick peek at it again, because we have some limited time. This is actually an interactive map. I just grabbed screenshots for this purpose, for this presentation. Darker means better coverage. So I filtered down to Florida. I then clicked on that darker green map at the bottom. That's Monroe County. And I can see that we had 6,800 children and we conducted 165 NDCF checks. What's cool about this is if you're the Florida State Coordinator, you can look at this. Those white counties, they have no checks at all for 2023. So we're really hoping that this helps people manage their resources and conduct outreach to these underserved areas. So we're excited about this new tool. We know that people use other ways to document car seat checks. We're still happy to add your data into the map to make it more comprehensive. You just need to send me an Excel file with the state, the county, and just your number of checks for 2023. I don't need any other information. I don't need a listing of the checks. I just need a count of all those checks per county in your state. So my last couple of slides, I'd like to just kind of talk about the impact of the NDCF. Technicians, program leads, car seat and auto manufacturers are actively using this data right now today to improve child passenger safety. Brian Rauscher was kind enough to lend us this graphic. I think it does an excellent job of capturing the different benefits of using the NDCF data and showing just how layered those benefits are, right? You're having access to clean data is just kind of the tip of the iceberg. Ultimately, as Brian shows us, better data drives better prevention efforts. And so you can tailor your message and your programming to address real-time disparities. I think that point number 4 of his is really a great summary of why we're so proud of this NDCF. And as Brian mentioned, you're a part of a national cohort contributing to data that other stakeholders can use to improve child passenger safety as well. I think I've heard Denise Donaldson say it. This is an amazing way to let manufacturers know what's going on with their seats, right? And we can tell you that we've worked with some of the manufacturers. They compared their tether misuse to national misuse, saw their tethers had a higher misuse than at the national rate. So they went and they designed new labeling for those tethers. And then they went back in 2024 and looked, and they were so excited because now their tethers have a lower misuse than that national rate, right? People are looking at this, they are making changes. Automobile manufacturers are excited. We've talked to some of their CPS reps who are like, you know, we've had these ideas, we've had these concerns, but we never had the data to back it up to get our engineers to listen. And we also hear a lot about them using this data to inform just their owner manual instructions to help clarify some of that language. So your data is impacting our products. So next steps really quickly, if you don't already have one, go ahead and get yourself a NDCF account. Start recording those checks in there. And then in a month or so, you're going to have your own dashboard. And please do visit and explore the dashboard and the seat check coverage map. You can't break it. You don't have to log in. Please just go check it out. And I think that's it for us, right, Jennifer?
I think it is.
There we go.
Wow, that was a lot of fantastic information. Thank you so much, Adele, for doing a real quick overview and summary of the data collection and the work that you're able to do with the data. I wanted to provide you all with our contact information, and then we are going to open it up for discussion. I've not been able to see the chat, so I'm not sure where we're at with the chat, but this is our contact information. If you need field training support, you can reach me at training@carseatcheckfirm.org. If you need account support, you can email Allie at info@carseatcheckfirm.org. And if you have specific data questions, you can reach out to Adele and team. You can reach out to Adele, and she is happy to get you going in the right direction. So now we'd like to open it up for questions. And if you don't mind, I'm going to try to minimize this because I really want to be able to see everybody. So I think we are good. Okay.
Are you ready for me, Jennifer?
Ooh, I think so.
You've had lots of great behind the scenes support. So thank you to Amy, who's our TUZO, has been answering the NDCF questions, and I've been answering the curriculum related ones. So we've been busy typing and putting in links, lots of great support, excitement that there's use of both of the NDCF in the curriculum and alignment of the resources. So that is great. There were a couple questions that I do want to address. One came from Amy, and she was wondering is that for agencies that currently have a customized 8.0 NDCF check form or version 8.0, will they, with their own liability statement, will they receive a 9.0 automatically or with their liability statement, or do they need to request that?
That is a fantastic question. And I can tell you that Joe and team at Tennessee Tech have been working on updating those paper forms, and they will get those sent out to you. As long as your email address is current in your account, they will email that, that new 9.0 So you have a copy of that. If you don't receive one for whatever reason, don't hesitate to reach out to any one of us on the team, and we are happy to relay that information.
Right. And then another one, Jim asked, and I just want to clarify this because I'm not certain that I want to make certain that people understand what happens to the data that's in the step. So when you're in the training app and you enter data into a step, if you close that step, what happens to that data?
The data is deleted. Yep. The data would be removed. Yep. So nothing is saved in the training app. So that is, one of the messages that we want to make sure that we share is that when you're using the NDCF out in the field, make sure you're using the actual NDCF app. And it should be very evident that you're using the training app. So just know that any information that's entered into the training app will automatically be deleted. It's not saved.
And what I like to say is, Jennifer, if they see that bright red warning at the top that says that this is the training app, like
pay attention.
Pay attention to red, right? This one is for Adele. Adele mentioned, and I apologize if Amy's answering it as I'm reading it, that lower anchors are preferred for installation. That's the first that I've heard this. We usually show caregivers both lower anchors and seatbelt and see which one works best and is easiest to use per caregiver skill or comfort level. Can you elaborate if lower anchors are preferred and why?
No, sorry. What I was showing was the graph that illustrates that caregivers on arrival are using the lower anchors more than the seatbelt. Okay, that is just the data as we observe it as the vehicle arrives. So it's not what we prefer or what we would do at the seat check. It's simply an observation of how caregivers are coming with the car seats installed. Does that clarify it?
Let us know in chat if it didn't. Oh, we got a thumbs up. So I think that was good. Thank
you.
Yeah. And then Paul just asked, probably for Jennifer, what are the requirements to have an account to see that data? I'm not sure what that data is. I volunteer with several programs that use their own forms.
Okay, yeah. So the NDCF data is available to anyone. So even if you're a non-user of the NDCF, you can see the data, the national data. If you want to be able to track your own agency or organizational data, your technicians would be, they would need to create an account and start entering the information into the NDCF. So I'm not sure when you're indicating that they're using their own forms. If it's a form outside of the NDCF, there's a very strong likelihood that that form does not compare, the questions don't align with the questions on the NDCF. So you would not be able to enter that information in to the NDCF. So if you want to see all of the agency data, just make sure that they've transitioned to the NDCF and then it's entered into a user account.
Along similar lines, we have Heidi, who is asking, we are running a 5-year pilot program in Ohio. Can we get access to all of our test sites data?
So as a state coordinator, state coordinators have access to all of the car seat inspection data that's happening around the state. So you could go into the data and then you could filter down by agency. So any of those 219 variables that Adele talked about, you can go into your raw data and filter down on any one of those variables. So if you're looking at your test sites, you can find the name of that test site and just query that in your Excel file, and you should be able to run a report on that information. So Heidi, if you want more detailed information about that and we can help you do a walkthrough of how to do that, just feel free to reach out.
Now I have a couple that are related to the delivery and the course, and we can work together on this one if you need, Jennifer. So Ceci asked from Washington, so the training app is to be used in the classroom and hard copy at the car seat check, and she put a question mark. So I'll let you clarify that.
Yeah, absolutely. So the training app, again, is an option to use during the certification course. And when we get to skills 4, they should be using a paper form because they don't have an account with the NDCF because they're technician candidates. If you're using the NDCF, and Ceci, I know your state does, they can use the paper form of the NDCF and not the app.
So following up on that, that was a perfect segue. You must have known what the next question was, Jennifer. Thank you. Claire asked, rather than use the paper form during skills evaluation 4, can we add the technician candidates into the documentation using the NDCF? I think this question came up about the time needed to transfer paper to electronic versions.
Yeah. So, Claire, I think hopefully I answered this correctly. When you're using the paper form, if you want to put the technician candidate's name in the doc box and then take that information from the paper form and manually enter it in after the car seat check, so you have documentation of which tech candidates performed that seat check, you can do that. I hope that answered that question. And Tammy, correct me if
I'll let you know if she follows up.
Okay.
How about that? Okay. And then we have 2 that have to relate to devices. So one from Kathy and then also from Jim. So if we don't want our techs to use their phone during check events, what device would you recommend? That would be part 1. And then Jim followed up, if anyone could share an example of a low-cost tablet they've purchased and used, maybe less expensive than an iPad. And there's at least there's a couple suggestions coming in on the chat, but maybe you can offer something as well.
Yeah, of course. So certainly during the certification courses, again, we want to make sure that they're using the paper form, but of your technicians that are currently certified, they absolutely do not have to use their phones. And that's not something that should be required for them to use their own personal devices. So when we're talking about what other devices do we recommend? We know that iPads can get expensive. The Android tablets are a great choice. Also, the Amazon tablets are a great choice. But I will tell you that what we're hearing from users out in the field is that the Amazon, like the Kindles, have a slower processing speed. So it's really not about how much you spend on your device. It's really looking at what that processing speed is going to be for that device to help move you through the different steps on the check form. With the slower processing speed, it does slow down the input of the data and then toggling between pages. So I know that we have several state coordinators on the line and several instructors that are using devices now, and I see a bunch of them popping up in the chat, but just wanted to make you aware that it's more important to look at that processing speed.
Great. Thank you, Jennifer. And then another question, and Kathy asked, do we need to be connected to the internet to use the form? And what about uploads of the information after the checks?
Sure. So I'll start with number 1. Question number 1, you do not need to be connected to Wi-Fi. You don't need a hotspot. You don't need data connection at all to use the NDCF out in the field. It's designed to be used without Wi-Fi. And again, that's kind of one of our little known secrets, I guess, about the NDCF. And so what we recommend is that you always place your device in airplane mode, even if you think you have strong Wi-Fi service. Let's say you're in your fire department and then you bring it out to the parking lot, you might have spotty service. So to avoid any of those connectivity issues, simply put it in airplane mode, collect all of your car seat data, and then when you get back to the office or a location where you can reconnect, then go ahead and take it out of airplane mode and upload all of your seat checks. And then I forgot the second part of that question, Tammy. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I scrolled down. Hang on. I was making sure I caught everything. It was use of internet. Oh, and what about uploads of the information after the checks?
Sure. Yeah. So again, just take your device to a location where you can connect to Wi-Fi, and then you will have a list of all of the forms that are saved in the app. The information is stored within the app, not on the device. And so then you can go in and just click on each of those, review the information, and then upload those into your account. But make sure that you do that at the end of your events. Make sure you're going back into your list of seat checks and making sure that they're all uploaded into your user account.
Okay, and so we do have a follow-up from Claire's question, which was about putting the candidate's name in the note box. And what Claire is asking is, for skills evaluation 4, can you use the electronic forms under an instructor profile and then add the student name to the documentation box so we know which student participated? And she said she was wondering about using electronic instead of paper, using instructor credentials on tablets. I was just weaned off of paper.
Right. I know, Tracy. Yeah, you've had a well-established program in Maryland for sure. And again, I want to make sure, and if I don't answer your question completely, we can certainly have an offline conversation. I want to make sure I'm understanding this. So you would be putting the information in the electronic form under an instructor profile. Yes. And then you can just put the instructor participating in the doc box, just put their name in there. And that way you have record of that C-check, that they were actually the ones that performed that C-check. Hopefully that answered your question.
So you're saying they can use the electronic version during skills 4?
Oh, no.
Okay.
No,
so it was skills 4 she was asking about.
Oh, okay. So that was referring back to skills 4. So skills 4, you definitely need to use a paper form. Now you can have that instructor, as they're reviewing the information on the form with the technician candidate, enter the information into the system, which I think there's a couple other states that already do that. And it would be another way for you to be able to reference that information and review that C-check with that candidate.
And if you don't mind, I'll take the next one because it's about the
Yeah.
hybrid delivery format.
Of course.
I bet you would defer to me anyway. So,
Yes.
So thank you. Denise asked for the use of the NDCF. Sorry, I had a pop up during the curriculum. Are there any nuances to mention for hybrid courses? For instance, do we need to make sure they have a hard copy, or can they use the training app for the exercises? And so this is a great question. I've been working on this week, actually, Denise, so very timely. There are links for the students to be able to download the hard copy or the paper version of the NDCF version 9.0. They can also use the training app. The instructors, the check form checks will be conducted during the virtual sessions. So the students, you want to encourage the students to have access to one or the other. So similar to delivering it in the in-person when you would be in the classroom delivering that same content. So that is in the instructor notes. It's also in the online learning modules, reminding the students that they need access to one of these resources to complete the activities. And then we will also add that, make certain to stress that in the instructor prep guide. And then I think we have time for one more, Jennifer. So
yeah, Jim had a question about processing speed, and if Joe Powell from TTU is on the line, I might have him jump in. But I did, if it's okay with you, Tammy, there is a question from Lynn about the App Store. You should not have to enter in a credit card to download the app. It's free. So if it's asking you to download a credit card, it probably is not the correct app. It should say NDCF training, or for the training app. Otherwise, it's car seat check form for the live NDCF app.
And we'll definitely check into that as well, just to make certain that there wasn't something that was like misentered when it was set up, but we'll double check it as well. So give us a day or two to check into this.
Hey, Jennifer, it's Lynn. I just wanted to, hey, how are you?
Good.
Just really quickly, last year we purchased a bunch of those tablets for use for our state CPS board, and it was Google Store that required you had to enter in a credit card to just, even for free apps, to download it. So it's the Google Store that required that. So we had to, it's exactly what we did. We had to buy a credit card, like a prepaid credit card, and use that to get around it. So I don't know if it's changed, but Yeah, I remember, and I recall when I was in a local coalition, I think the same thing happened, and I entered in my personal credit card at that time, but they do require a credit card.
Interesting. I didn't know that. Thank you for sharing that information, Lynn. I appreciate it.
Sure, you're welcome.
I think we're out of time, Jennifer, and I think Amy has shared such great questions, and Amy has shared your contact information for anybody. If we happen to miss your questions, please follow up with Jennifer as with the email address as shared, and I'll turn back over, I think, to Claudia to sign us off.
Thank you, Adele, Tammy, and Jennifer. This has been a really informative forum today. And again, if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to reach out to Jennifer or to Tammy if it's curriculum related. And Adele does answer questions related to technical content, but Jennifer also can field some of those as well if you can't reach Adele for some reason. We are all here at the Board of Council trying here to help you in any way we possibly can. So thank you all for coming today. If you are still interested in any of the National Instructor Forums, we would like to invite you to register for those. We currently don't have any forums scheduled right now temporarily. You will see some pop up within the National Child Passenger Safety Board website here soon, as well as on Safety Connection Virtual Resource Center if you are in the CPST page of Safety Connection. Just look for any updated information on the forum, and you can register at the QR code link here, which is on the CPS board website. Again, thank you, Jennifer, Adele, and Tammy, and we appreciate each and every one of your work out in the field. Thank you for the child passenger safety technicians here today and instructors. We appreciate you as well. We hope you have a great week and look forward to seeing you on the next forum. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Thank you, Claudia.